Welcome to the Process Podcast.
From new agent to broker owner.
My name is Travis McClure. This is my co-host, Preston Guyton. Welcome to the Process Podcast. Preston, how you doing today, sir?
Good, man. Can't complain. How you doing?
Preston, after today, I leave for a 9-day vacation.
Did you get that approved?
Yes, I did. But I was actually thinking on the way here, I was thinking, starting yesterday, usually about 48 hours before you take a vacation, I think of myself and everybody else, you go into like Uber productivity mode, right? I'm very intentional about all the things I have to get done before my vacation starts because there's that strict deadline. And it made me think, what if, not only for myself, but for the average person listening to this, what if we carried that same type of productivity into every single day? Like, treat every day like it's the day before vacation. And I'm excited to get it done, right? Like, I have a great why behind getting all this stuff done so I can relax and enjoy time with my family. But what if we treated every day like that?
Yeah, and I would question, I don't know if everybody does that. I think some people, right before vacation, kind of go into vacation mode. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if we had that same dedication to getting things done like you're doing now, that's part of what we're going to talk about today as well, about scheduling and the morning schedule and all those things.
Yeah, I can tell you in my years of coaching and mentoring and consulting agents, I would say the number one thing agents always say is their biggest struggle, almost 9 times out of 10, number one thing is somehow schedule related. Like, hey, I don't have enough time to work on the things I want to work on my business, and or I don't feel like I have enough time to spend with my family.
Yeah, and I think, depending on what kind of job they come from, agents, and a lot of times they're coming from a job where their schedule's set. Mm-hmm. You got to be there at 8 o'clock, you get off at 5, or whatever type of job they have. A lot of people step into as a new real estate agent and are like, hey, we want freedom, we want a flexible schedule and all those things. And we both know flexible schedules do not work in this business. Right. You need to set a schedule that's consistent and that you could stick to, to make doing those hard things easier.
Yeah, somebody told me when I first got into real estate, I was a brand new agent at the time, and I asked a very successful agent, I said, what's one piece of advice you would give a brand new agent? And I'll never forget what he said to me, and it's rang true ever since, and I give this same piece of advice now. Treat it like a job. If you treat this like a job, you'll get paid like it's a job. If you treat this like a hobby, you'll get paid like it's a hobby. And I think that's the challenge. They come in for that, I think, the myth of schedule flexibility, and they get paid like it.
Yeah, and especially these days, they see the social media of what's actually shared on social media that agents are doing. A lot of times they're sharing all the places they're going, the things they're doing, and everything else. And it's not sexy to share cold calling people for 2 hours, right, or prospecting for 2 hours. So a lot of times you see those things where they're enjoying their life and spending time with their family and everything else, all the things that people share on social media. And that's really a lot of times not the truth, because there's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of dedication, and there's a consistent schedule usually is something you got to stick to.
Yeah, so Preston and I decided to do it in this episode is talk a little bit about our morning schedule. We get a lot of questions about it, each of us, from people in our company and people on our teams. We're both, that's one of the things when we first met, we were we had a lot in common around, we were very strict around our morning routine. And I know for myself, it was life-changing. I made a commitment to fitness about 3-4 years ago, and I wanted that to be a part of my morning every single morning. Like everybody else, I had to somehow create time for it. So I've created a strict morning routine. And Preston, you said it to me too, like you basically till about noon every day for you is basically predictable.
Yeah, pretty much. Definitely from 4 a.m. What time do you get up?
I get up at 3:45.
Okay, so I get up at 3:42. No, I get up at 4 a.m. and for the first hour, and now that I started running, I used to spend about 2 hours doing, and it always changes, right? The times I wake up, but a lot of times that what I'm doing in that time changes. But like for instance, for now, what I do is for the first hour and a half, I'll work on blog outlines and different content structure for easy home search, some pages and things like that in that first hour and a half window, and then I'll go for a run, and then I'll work out after that, get ready, then come to work. During the school year, I help my kids get ready, make breakfast and lunches, and then take them to school and drop them off 7:30, then come to the office. But from that time, from 4 a.m. till 9 a.m. is consistent. It's consistent with what I do. And, the part of the reason I do that, because I want to get off around 4 o'clock in the afternoon so I could see my kids' sports, go to theater, practice with my daughter, do all those things so I don't miss any of those activities, but also be consistent in the morning. Now that we have the prospecting with leadership, we each prospect for a couple hours in the morning each week. So yeah, it's very consistent from 4 a.m. until 9 or 10. A lot of times you'll make coffee or whatever, and you're like, it feels like Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
Every day is the same. But that's the beauty of it. Like I'm happy with that consistency.
Yeah, it adds a lot of certainty to your life. Just again, like I know what my day, right up into what I'm gonna eat, looks like till about noon every single day. And if I have uncertainty, like things that pop up in our schedule, that's what I save the afternoon for, right? If there's an appointment with somebody, that's what the afternoon is for. If something pops up outside of my normal, like, core key activities, whether they be personal or work related, that's what the afternoon is for. It makes me very proactive, not reactive.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why we do this podcast in the morning. We're like, well, for us to continue to do it, to be consistent with it, and to do it on a weekly basis, and we committed to 60 by the end of the year. We need to do it in the morning. We typically do it about 8:30. Today's a little bit later, but that's part of our morning routine now is to shoot 2 podcast episodes a week.
Yeah, I know. I get a lot of questions. 2 things people usually say when they ask me about my morning routine. Number one, they say that sounds so boring.
Yeah.
But to your key fact is, it's not. It's just consistent. And what that allows me to do, it frees up my evening time where I'm not in a gym. I'm not still working on work stuff. I'm able to spend more time focused on family. So what seems boring is not. And I love to say the more boring my life is, the happier I get. And there's a lot of truth to that. So if you're listening to this and you're like, man, these guys sound like robots talking about their morning routine, I would say give it a try for a week or two and see if it impacts your life.
Yeah, especially the working out part. For me, like I can't go through a whole day and then get off at the end of the work day and go work out. One thing, I really don't have the energy at the end of the day to do that. But the other part is my kids don't, my kids are at an age where they're not really working out yet. They do. So my 12-year-old son, it's his birthday today. He committed to run the half marathon with me in October. But I would much rather, run in the morning when they're sleeping or, work out in the morning when they're sleeping, especially this time of the year, because I don't want to get off work and then go home and then work out.
That it's 100 degrees out in the afternoon, you're trying to run.
No, there's a good chance I wouldn't make it through that run.
But here's the thing, too, that I always think about when it comes to, and we're just talking about fitness strictly right now. We'll get into the business part of it. But when it comes to fitness, you're always going to look for the way out. Like, you're just hardwired to do what's easy, right? So, and I've had this happen to myself where it's 3, 4 o'clock, and you look outside, it's, gosh, it's 85, 90 degrees out. You know what, I won't run today. And guess what? You didn't. But if you get up and you just do it, right, you don't think about it, then it's 85, 90 degrees at 3 or 4 o'clock. You just go home and eat dinner and enjoy the rest of your day, right?
In the morning for me, I'm about a mile to the ocean, mile to the beach. I'll run, and part of, I'll leave my house at 5:30, and part of that is I want to beat the sunrise.
Yeah.
I want to be to the beach before the sunrise hits, and then from there I'll run another couple miles and end up back at the house by the time sunrise, and then work out. So that's that's something I love doing, and especially this time of the year. 5:30 in the morning usually feels pretty good. This week there was a couple of days it was 58 degrees in the morning. That's definitely not the norm, but even if it's 95 in the middle of the day, 5:30 typically is something that I can make it through and not pass out. Now, if I went back home at noon or 4 in the afternoon and tried to run, or 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, that's a different story.
I think there's also something to be said at running, especially running or doing fitness outside that early in the morning this time of year, is that time that you spend by yourself. Think about how much alone time do you really get in a world like this between your phone, your computer, work, family. There's something very therapeutic about that as well, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I do look at my phone to make sure I'm not having a heart attack, to make sure my heart's in that window where I don't pass out. But yeah, it is great for sure. And 2 weeks ago, I started doing this. 3 weeks ago?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago. And I've never really been much of a runner. I mean, I've ran playing basketball and things like that, but never long distance. I ran roughly about 4 miles this morning. If you told me a month ago to do that, there's no way.
Right.
So it's something I've grown to enjoy more and more, as it's not as uncomfortable. It's still uncomfortable. I don't think I think it'll always be uncomfortable.
Right.
But it's not as uncomfortable as it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I would say that. The other question I get all the time about schedule, I know you get it too because I've heard people ask you, how do you get up so early? And I always say my morning routine starts the night before.
100%. Well, you look at it like this. So when you throw a big goal out there, you don't focus on that goal. You focus on how to get there and the steps to get there. So the same thing with that. If you're going to wake up at 4 a.m., don't go to bed at midnight.
Yeah.
However much sleep you need. Like me, I'm pretty good if I get minimum about 6 hours. I'm fine. If I get 5.5, I struggle a little bit. But
right.
If I'm getting 6, as long as I'm sleeping by 9:30 or 10, I'm totally fine. I try to go to bed about 9. Just with 3 kids this time of the year, it can be difficult sometimes. But that's for me, and it's like you said, focus on the night before.
Yeah.
It's not. Oh God, that's early. Well, go to bed earlier.
Right after dinner is when my nightly routine starts. I'm, making my oatmeal for the morning. I'm doing as much as I can prep-wise to make my morning autopilot, right? And I tell people that. So it starts like, hey, get your meal, like already have a plan of what I'm going to eat in the morning all the way through lunch. You're going to make better food decisions. You're going to save yourself a ton of time to be on autopilot. I already know what I'm going to do workout-wise. Usually I send it in our group chat, right? I say, hey, this is what I'm doing tomorrow, or like, this is what I plan to run, this is what I plan to do. So I get out my gym clothes, I set them aside. A great book I read a few years back that put me in that mode was Atomic Habits by James Clear. He talks about to build good habits, you have to have these keystone habits. To me, my nightly routine is my keystone habit. I get everything ready for the morning. So when I wake up, the alarm goes off at 3:45. I'm essentially in like robot mode. I go to I get changed, I walk the dog real fast, and then I'm onward and upward with my morning routine. And for me, I like listening to an audiobook first thing, right? Whatever I'm reading or listening to at that point, drinking my coffee. I spend about my first 30 minutes of my morning right there. Just listening and drinking coffee and get myself mentally prepared. And then I go into a stretch. I like to stretch out. I've added this to my routine recently. I stretch. I'm old, so sometimes my body hurts from all the physical fitness I do. So I stretch for another 30 minutes or so, and then I get moving right into my workout routine. Yeah. So there's very little things I have to think about from the time I wake up until I work out. It's all autopilot, but I set it all up the night before. I'm not looking for gym clothes in the dark. I'm not trying to meal prep or make lunches. It's all done.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
I literally just got to hit the button on my coffee pot, walk the dog, because he's ready to go out at that time, so it's his morning routine too now. And, I'm listening to whatever book I'm listening to while I do all that. I make it a point not to look at anything that's gone on my phone. Like, I don't look at the phone.
Yeah.
Until after I've walked the dog and after I've had my coffee. Like, I give myself a good, probably, I'd say 20 to 30 minutes before I check, okay, do I have any notifications? Again, I'm trying to mentally just let myself wake up, right? Yeah. Get in the right mindset for the day. Today's going to be a great day. This is what I'm going to achieve. Before I start digging into what's going on my phone, basically when I turn on that audiobook, I'll give a quick glance to what's happening in the world. And then from there, I'm into my fitness routine. From the fitness routine, I come home, I start my morning routine, getting ready for work, I eat, and I'm to the office by 8:30. And then usually I have my day all planned out, basically till noon every day. I leave the afternoon open for appointments, but my Monday through Friday, from the time I get out of bed till noon, is very, very predictable, and that's by design.
Yeah. And the good thing about not looking at your phone first thing in the morning, because for me, I don't listen to audiobooks or anything when I first get up. but I don't look at my phone either because I've done it before, and I'm not going to sit here and say I never do it, but it's something I try not to do and don't do, because if I look at my phone, all of a sudden I'm down a rabbit hole that,
exactly.
With me, I'm trying to get content outlines done. I'm trying to get blogs done. I'm trying to get graphics done and different things done in that window, because I know I got to start running at 5:30.
Yeah.
So I got roughly an hour and a half. But by the time I make coffee, I use a French press, so I don't use a coffee machine. I probably should start using one, save some time.
Yeah.
But I sit down 4:15, start drinking coffee, so I have about an hour and 15 minutes. If I look at my phone, go down a rabbit hole, next thing you know, it's 30 minutes have gone by.
Yes.
So for me, I look at it like that's X amount of outlines I could have done, so many blogs I could have posted, and so many different things I could do within SEO in the framework of the Easy Home Search website. So that's definitely something I focus on. And then when I work out, I usually go to YouTube Motiversity, listen to something on there, and then run out the door.
Yeah. One thing I recently added to my routine in the last few months, I went to that EOS conference in April, I believe it was, or May. It might have been April or May, but I went to the EOS conference. And if you're not familiar with EOS, we've talked about it, I think, in our first episode. It's from the book Traction by Gino Wickman. It's the operating system we run here at our company. And it regiments like when we meet as a management team, all that kind of stuff. But even for myself, I do a once-a-week clarity. They call it a clarity meeting. Essentially, it's just a meeting with myself. I do it every Friday afternoon. I sit down with my planner, and I'm planning out what my next week looks like, right? I already told you what my morning routine is. This is where I sit down and plan out basically 8:30 to 12, Monday through Friday. What's that look like from a work-wise? What needs to happen? What are my top 3 focuses next week? What are things that absolutely have to happen? And the cool part about the EOS planner, it came with actually like a planner, Preston. It actually asks you, how do you plan to work out next week, and what do you plan to eat? So I actually sit there, I write in like my meal prep. Okay, I need to buy this. I'm thinking, this isn't an hour meeting with yourself. It's great. And then, I'll touch base with Kim, say, hey, what's our, child care situation look like? And we actually make our fitness schedule. I know Monday I'm going here. Tuesday we might be working out together. Wednesday, Thursday, so on and so forth. So I go into Monday morning with a plan. I know it's not like Tuesday. Sometimes do we have to deviate because something has happened in life? Yes, one-offs absolutely happen. But that's been a game changer for me. That once a week, just stop everything that you're doing, have a meeting with yourself, and just, I love the fact they call it a clarity meeting, because I know at the end of the week, okay, these are the top 3 things I need to focus on as integrator for Palms Realty and Easy Home Search. These are the top 3 things I need to focus on personally. It even asks about personal connections. Who do you plan on to reach out personally just to reconnect with? It's a really cool planner. You can actually buy it on the EOS Traction website. They sell it on there. I got it for free for going to the conference. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. I mean, you do have to make changes. Like next week, my son is he's in a fishing camp Tuesday through Friday. So he has to be at the camp, I think, at 6:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. So my normal routine's not going to work. So I'll start running at 5 a.m. next week to make sure I get that in, because I'm not going to get it in after I drop him off. So I got to get it done before I leave the house. I have to leave the house about 6:15 to get him there on time. So, there's always times and always things happen that you got to make adjustments. But as long as it's a priority, to me, running or working out in the morning is as important as drinking coffee or, having breakfast. I mean, it's something that is a big focus, first thing in the morning. And really, I think that's, if there was anything that I could point out that's going to make the biggest difference, is that making working out and exercising something you do first thing in the morning.
As far as routine, what I tell every realtor that I speak with about schedule, and I spend a lot of my time talking about this with realtors. It's funny. This is probably the number one thing I talk to realtors about, how to structure your day, is you got to be intentional about everything that you do. And when you're intentional, you're being proactive, right? If you're not intentional, you're being reactive, right? You're just reacting to what's happening to you. Everybody agrees, the market is changing. It's people aren't contacting me. I'm having to find people and contact people. And that's not a bad thing. I can tell you, today was my day to make calls with leadership. I can tell you the agents that are making proactive contact with people, they're finding people that want to buy and sell real estate. They're out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, we see it every day. We have, between 160 and 200 registrations a day of people actively still looking for real estate. So it's not a bad thing. It's just going to change where you're going to go back to the fundamentals and doing the things that is necessary and really part of the business. And it just, for a couple of years there, it got easy.
Yeah. Right, we're entering a hard market, so now the agents that are going to be successful are the ones that have really good habits, and the ones that are going to be very intentional about the way they use their time. So if you think about lead generation, we talked a lot about it in our last episode. If you're being reactive, you're going to struggle, right? Yep. So this is where you got to look at your things like your morning routine and say, how can I revamp this so I'm being very intentional about my morning routine? I know our agents just finished up, and Bill Pipes shared what he called the $1 million agent schedule, right? And it goes along very closely with what we're talking about, right? And I'm looking at Bill's slide that he shared with our agents. It has you getting up between 4:30 and 6. It says rise and shine. And then 6 to 7, Bill calls it the grade 8. And he has different things like practicing gratitude, working out for a set amount of time, and all these different things that actually enhance your morning, right? It has nothing to do with your business. It's all about making sure you feel good as a human being. And then 7 to 8 o'clock's getting ready for work, spending time doing what you need to do to get your family ready. And then by 8:30, you're in the office, right? Like every day, and that's time to role play. And then at 9 o'clock, we start making calls, right? So think about that, about being intentional about your day. This definitely correlates into being an agent, and the agents that are most successful are the ones that follow a schedule like this. What are your thoughts around that, Preston?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We have a couple agents that do that now, that are in the office and get here early and, work. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing first thing, if they're working out first thing in the morning, but I do see them in here early, and they're prospecting for 2 or 3 hours every day. Prospecting in the pond, they're prospecting, SOI clients, or prospecting current clients and doing all those things. But they're doing that for 2 or 3 hours a day, and they're the ones that continue to be on the board with sales and, will continue to have success. So definitely finding a schedule you could stick to, and then being around the people that are doing the same thing is very important, because it's very hard to be the lone wolf in the crowd getting the things done that need to be done with everybody else is not doing it. So, that's as important it is to do these things. It's also important to be around the right people in the right room, making sure that they're doing the same things you want to do, or are doing the same things you are doing.
So in the other part of Bill's training, which I thought was pretty interesting, this is for agents. This is directly for agents and how to structure their schedule. He calls it the $1 million schedule. The other thing he called for them to do is a Sunday night planning session, right? I call it the clarity meeting with yourself.
On Friday?
I do it on Fridays. Yeah. I like doing Friday afternoon and planning out my week ahead. He has it as a 15 to 30-minute Sunday night meeting as an agent. Now, it doesn't have to be on Sunday, but essentially he said sit down and plan out your next 7 days.
Yeah.
What's that look like? And I get agents say, well, if someone calls me on a Tuesday and wants to see a house on a Thursday, I didn't know about that on Sunday. Absolutely. But the way you approach that is keep your mornings predictable. Keep them, and if you're watching this on YouTube, we shared the $1 million schedule slides. You can see what that looks like. But keep your mornings predictable. Leave the afternoon for the appointment. So if someone calls me on a Wednesday and they want to see a house on a Thursday, I give them 2 options. Hey, I have 1 o'clock, I have 3 o'clock, or I have 4 o'clock available. Which of those times? Let's give them 3 options. Which of those times work best for you? Right? Protect those mornings. There's going to be times people can only see a property in the morning. But to me, that's a one-off.
Yeah, well, most people don't want to see a property. Say your morning routine is 4 to 9 or 4 to 10. You know what I mean? Or 5 to 9, 5 to 10, whatever it is. You're not going to have people that are going to call you and say, hey, can I go see this property at 8:30 in the morning?
Right.
For one, you can't even get in. And 2, you're not going to call and schedule a showing for 8:30 in the morning. Very, very rarely you're going to do that. You might get somebody at 10 or whatever, but I mean, if you have that schedule that ends at 10 or whatever it is, but yeah, it's. I mean, you give them the options, and usually they'll take the options you give them.
Right, and to me, it's like a one-off. If somebody's like, absolutely, I only have the mornings available, then you reevaluate. Okay, I can maybe push my prospect into the afternoon, But to me, that's a last resort.
Oh, yeah.
9 out of 10 people, if you give them like the options of, hey, I got one. I always want to give them at least 2 options, if not 3. I say, hey, I have 1 o'clock available, I have 3 o'clock available, or I have 4 o'clock available. Do any of those times work best for you Thursday? I equate it all the time when I talk to agents. It's like if you call the doctor's office and say, hey, I want to make an appointment for Thursday, and you said, hey, I can only come in the morning. That's not the way appointments work. They're going to tell you what times they have available, and you pick which one best fits your schedule, right? If you call a lawyer's office, you call an accountant's office, they all work the same way. You're a professional just like any of those. Treat your schedule the same way.
Yeah, and there's so many apps out there now that tie into your calendar. I mean, just book your calendar up in the morning and then share that calendar with the clients, as far as the booking. They don't see your other what else is scheduled, but
right.
Put prospecting and put all those things as dedicated times in your calendar. So when you do share the available times, they see what the available windows are and they'll pick them.
Yeah, I use an app, and I'm a fan of an app called Calendly.
Yeah, same one I use.
Yeah, Calendly, and it's free. You essentially set, the hours you're available for appointments. And what I do is I tie it into Google Calendar, and I put every little thing into Google Calendar. If it's something personal, like if I'm getting a haircut in the afternoon, it goes into Google Calendar. So this way I don't have scheduling conflicts. But someone can look at my schedule weeks in advance. Let's say they're going to be in town, next month, and they want to sit down and meet with me. They can book that appointment right then and there.
And I use the paid version. It's only like $150 or $100 for the year. But the paid version allows you to do 30-minute.
Yeah.
30-minute time frames, where the free version, I think, is only an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so depending on, how your schedule looks, depending on if you need hour windows or 30-minute windows or whatever, but that's the one I use.
Yeah, my point in all that is I only schedule appointments in the afternoon, but I give people a plethora of options.
Yeah, for sure.
And I very rarely have that be an issue where someone's like, I can only meet in the morning. So my point is you're going to have those one-offs, and that's okay, but protect that morning routine the best that you can. It's going to add certainty to your life, and I guarantee if you try it for 2 weeks. That's what I tell every realtor. Try it for 2 weeks. And then come back and let's talk about, the pros and cons of it. And if you felt like it didn't make a difference to you, then we can kind of reevaluate it. But try it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely make a difference. And especially if you tie exercise into that morning routine. And you look at it like if you're high producing or, you're a high producing agent or whatever business you're in, imagine how more high producing you would be if you had exercise, because you'd feel that much better, you'd be working that much better, and getting that many more things done in a time frame during work.
If we're talking about fitness, you do have to listen to your body. So I'll create a plan for my week and say, hey, and usually they're pretty audacious goals. I'll say, hey, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Sometimes I'm 40 years old. Sometimes I get to Wednesday and I'm like, gosh, my body just hurts.
Yeah.
So I'll revisit the plan throughout the course of the week. And it doesn't have to be about fitness. Maybe sometimes you did have something come up legitimately in your schedule. I'll revisit the plan and maybe restructure it. Hey, you know what? I'm not going to run, or I'm not going to do legs. My body needs a little bit of rest. I'm going to do something different. So yes, it's good to have a plan. Yes, it's good to be intentional, but sometimes you got to, especially when it comes to fitness, you have to listen to your body sometimes and plan accordingly. But have a plan. Don't wake up and wing it. That's the worst thing.
I actually take that back. I did not run every day. I did paintball with my son yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Carson's birthday. He's 12 today. But we had paintball, and it was adults. So it was Josh and I against 6 kids. I guess we were running.
Yeah,
and getting shot, and I have a couple welts on my neck, and paintball hurts.
That's the best kind of physical activity you can get, though. So, play.
Yeah.
That's the best exercise you can get. Just get out and play.
With a mask on, long sleeves, long pants on in the summer.
And gloves, too. I reckon.
I didn't have gloves.
Yeah, if you get shot in the hand with a paintball, I can tell you 100% it hurts.
Yeah, I got shot in the neck, and I got shot in the chest, and it did not feel good.
All right, guys. That's what we have around morning routine. In this episode, we're going to post some slides that show you Bill Pipes' $1 million schedule, what that looks like for a realtor. Appreciate, as always, you guys tuning into The Process. Click, like, subscribe. Have a great week. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.